Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Nintendo back again. Um, I initially was supposed to release a video yesterday, a few hours after the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct happened, but I recorded it basically twice or 1.5 times, only for me to record 30 minutes and realize that the audio was horrendous. So, yeah. My hype levels aren't going to be as high as they were yesterday, especially since new things have come out. But yeah, let's kind of get into it. So I'll still go ahead and go over the direct from yesterday. I still think it was great. I still think it was, the best, if not definitely one of the best directs that we've ever gotten. There was just so many games that were shown, and just getting into the new generation of Nintendo. So it almost is kind of cheating in a way because most normal directs aren't going to talk about a whole new console, a whole new generation. So, this one had, something going for it already just with that. But let's go ahead and get into it. So they started off with brand new Mario Kart, which is now known as Mario Kart World. It looks great. I watched some of the Treehouse today, so I got to see more of that, and it looks even better watching them actually play it during the Treehouse. Just because you really get to see more of what visually how the game looks. Because watching it in the live, it did look great. I mean, live by as in the Nintendo Direct, it did look great. But seeing it in the Treehouse just made it look even better, and that goes with all the other games we're going to talk about as well. But yes, start off with Mario Kart World, absolutely amazing, and I cannot wait for that. So then they went to the Nintendo Game Chat thing, which was where things kind of got a little because Game Chat is nothing new. They've had iterations of that before anyway, so they're just basically bringing it back, and the video is kind of laggy. You can see your friends playing their games at the bottom as you play your game. But their screen is just the image that you see of them playing the games is just very laggy and kind of pixelated. So yeah, it's cool, but maybe not something that I would want to get into, just because it is kind of hard to look at because the frame rate is pretty bad, which sucks because I was telling one of my friends earlier that whenever we would get together and talk. One thing that I would always hear him playing games in the background, and I would be like, man, I kind of wish I could see what the game looks like that he's playing, because he would describe it to me, and I'm like, I'm a very visual person, so just giving me verbal descriptions of things don't always do it justice for me, but because sometimes I'm imagining something completely different for whatever you're describing to me. But yeah, so it kind of sucks. I mean, who knows, maybe it'll get an update and it'll be a little bit better. Or one thing that they didn't show was, every time that I've seen it, they had 3 or 4 people at the bottom. So maybe if it's just you and you're viewing only one other person, maybe it won't be as bad. But right now it's kind of meh. So they also talked about game sharing, which is cool. It's basically kind of back from what we had on the DS. Where as long as you have a game, you can kind of share it out wirelessly with people around you. You guys can all play the game together. I can't remember if it's just people on your friends list or if you can do it with anyone. Because on the DS, I remember doing it with my cousins, and as long as they were in the vicinity, I could just send out Mario Kart to them, and we were all just kind of playing. So I'm not sure if it's exactly like that, or if they wanted you to only be able to do it with people on your friends list, but yeah, so that happened. Then they talked about the console itself. So we got 4K docked. We have 60 frames per second up to 120 frames per second, which is phenomenal. I absolutely love that so much, and I can't wait to play all my Nintendo games going forward at a solid 60 FPS at the least. Hopefully they have a lot of games that can get up to 120, or even if it's just close. That would be awesome. For a future Smash game or something like that, that would just be great. Or even a future Zelda game. But anyway, so They mentioned some more things. One thing I liked a little bit was the 3D sound. I know for some people it's like whatever. 3D sound has been around for forever. It's not. It's far from a new technology, but I was just thinking about the cool things that they could do in like a Zelda game or just any game with 3D audio. Like I don't know. I guess I was thinking of Breath of the Wild specifically. Like let's say I'm playing Breath of the Wild and there are birds chirping and I have my headset on so I can use my 3D audio. Like to hear birds chirping behind my head, or maybe I hear a bokoblin coming up on the left, and instinctively I'm gonna turn to the left, or turn Link to the left because I'm hearing something come from that direction. So I think that's awesome. But I know, some people are just kind of like whatever. But that's just my imagination going crazy. They talked about the mouse controls and they showed off a game called Drag and Drive, which is essentially just like a wheelchair basketball game, which I've seen people play in real life. Most people don't really seem to be interested in this at all, me included, so I'm not even going to put too much into that. They also talked about something called Nintendo Switch Welcome Tour, which is cool and all, but it should be like an app that you can download or something, but you have to pay for it. Like, why are you charging for a tutorial? That's not even a fun tutorial. Like with Nintendo Land, at least it was masked by Nintendo IPs, and that is the game that made me want to go out and get Pikmin for the first time because I enjoyed it, and also the Wii U era was kind of slim picking, so I really didn't have too much of a choice. So that's another reason I got Pikmin 3, but Nintendo Land definitely helped. So this was just a strange decision for them. I doubt many people will get it, even though I heard it's only $10. I mean, I'm not paying $10 for it. I'll just figure it out on my own. But it's there for anybody that wants to spend even more money. So they also talked about the 3 different ways in which you can play the Nintendo Switch 2. One being with just Nintendo Switch 2 games, obviously, the exclusives. Then you can play Nintendo Switch 1 games, backwards compatible. But there's also Nintendo Switch 2 Edition games. For example, they showed off Mario Party Jamboree. It has a subtitle, I forgot what that was, I didn't write it down. But essentially, I think it's kind of cool that instead of just saying, oh, with all the Nintendo Switch 2 editions, you're just getting better frame rate and, better graphics or whatever. Like, no, with this, they're adding so much more to it, so that's pretty cool. They showed off the 2 Zeldas, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. With those, it really is just better frame rate. Sorry. So they showed off things like the Korok Forest, which is notorious for just making your Switch just chug really, really bad, and it goes from 30 FPS to like 10 FPS. So it runs perfectly fine now, and it looks great. I mean, if you go online now and just look up Breath of the Wild 4K, or before they showed this, you could go ahead, you could look that up, and you would see essentially what we're getting. Improved textures and things like that too. It does look great. At first I was like, I don't see the point of this because the games already look pretty good and they're so stylized. I was like, I really don't see any point of this. But kind of like the Wind Waker, they kind of showed out a little bit. Wind Waker HD, I mean. So yeah, looks pretty cool. The Metroid Nintendo Switch 2 edition was fire. When I was watching the Treehouse and they were playing that, that's where I was like, oh wow, this looks amazing. It looks so good in 4K. And it looks amazing at 60 FPS or 120 FPS. It looks phenomenal. So I cannot wait to get my hands on that and play that. I will clearly be playing the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4. It looks just that good to me. So they showed off Kirby. Was it Kirby in the Forgotten Land, I think was the game. I can't remember if that had more stuff or not, but they showed that off, and they showed off Pokemon as well. Pokemon needs more than a simple Switch 2 edition, to be honest. It needs a lot of work. But anyway, so then they got into third parties, which was also really good. They showed off Elden Ring, Hades 2, Street Fighter 6, Deus Ex Machina, Split Fiction, and just so much more. I didn't even get all of them down because some of these games I don't really know anyway, but it was just cool seeing so many third parties, and that's exactly what I was wanting. I know as Nintendo gamers, we clearly want first party games. That's why you get a Nintendo console, because you want the amazing first party Nintendo games. But for me, one thing I've always wanted from Nintendo is a console that was powerful enough to play big third party games, like in Elden Ring or something like that. Because there are certain games I'm like, man, I would love to play that game, but it's not on my console, and I don't want to spend, $400 or $500 extra to get a whole other console just to play one or two games. Because I'm just not a Sony or Microsoft gamer. So, it is what it is. So I love that all these things can be coming to my one console now. And yeah, at least as long as it'll last, because obviously eventually there'll be a PS6 and things like that, and we'll be back to square one. But for now, we're good to go. So I really enjoyed that, and I definitely plan on trying out many of these games, to be honest with you, especially because they'll most likely be cheaper than the first party games. So that's cool. So after that, they showed off Age of Imprisonment. Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment, to be more specific, which is just a Warriors game based off of Tears of the Kingdom. So kind of like how we got Age of Calamity, showed the situation in the past leading up to Breath of the Wild, except it diverted into its own story, which I personally like. I'm actually re-downloading it right now, because I was already going to replay it anyway, because I was thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I want to replay that game. So them showing this, I was like, oh wow, this is great, just in time. And the fact that it will run smooth is great, because I love Age of Calamity, but sometimes it likes to chug a little bit. So from what I've seen of Age of Imprisonment, it looks amazing. It's beautiful. And it seems like it's going to run very, very well, which is all I asked for. I just want to play games like that running at 60 FPS. I don't want to get a lot of enemies on screen and then now all of a sudden I'm playing at 2 frames per second. So I'm happy about that, and I will be getting that game. So then they talked about GameCube games coming to Nintendo Switch Online. So they showed off things like Wind Waker. There were some Pokemon games in there. Soul Calibur 2, F-Zero. So I'm kind of wondering now if we ever will get that Wind Waker HD, because now they kind of put that there. So it's like, I don't know how that's gonna go. But at the same time, we got the Mario collection, which had Sunshine and Mario 64, and you can also play Mario 64 and Super Mario Sunshine with NSO now, because they showed off. When they showed like the reel of the games, Mario Sunshine was in the GameCube games pile. So I don't think that will necessarily stop them from dropping Wind Waker HD and Twilight Princess HD, but we'll see. Either which way, I'm just happy because I've been wanting to play Twilight Princess again specifically. And honestly, in my opinion, I don't really think Twilight Princess HD looked that much better than Twilight Princess, the original. So I don't really care if I play the HD version or not. So yeah. Then they also, people finally got to see Deltarune and Silk Song. So I was only happy about that because I've just been tired of seeing it in the live chats so much. Because when I watch the live chats on Nintendo, I really want to see people discussing the subject matter at hand. But I don't know. It was always a mess. And I'm like, guys, can we please focus? It's like it's just a whole bunch of adolescents in the chat. But they finally showed that off so they can find other things to complain about or blow up in the chat. We saw a glimpse of Final Fantasy VII. I feel like that felt more significant to call out yesterday than today because I'm a little bit more calmed down, but I do want to give the game a try. So I know that's why I wrote it down. And that's one thing I was hoping to be here. So it is here. Amongst the other third-party games I talked about previously. We got a new FromSoft game called The Dusk Bloods. That is insane that Nintendo got their own exclusives from FromSoft. Never in my life thought I would see that coming, even though it's kind of reminiscent of when we got the Bayonetta 2 exclusive on the Wii U. So it's like, okay, it's not completely unprecedented, but I don't know, still cool. I'd like to see more about that game. We got Kirby Air Riders, which was super hype. If the video I recorded yesterday didn't have such horrible audio, you would have heard how hype I was about that yesterday. I cannot wait to see more about that game. It's funny because even just a few months ago, I was looking up footage of Kirby Air Rider, just for nostalgia purposes, just to see like why I liked the game so much as a kid. And I was watching it and I'm like, oh my gosh, this game is low-key kind of bare bones. Like, it doesn't have that many tracks or characters or anything, but I just remember having a good time and being so sad when I had to take it back to Blockbuster back in the day. So that's awesome. It's directed by the GOAT, Masahiro Sakurai. So we know right now he's not working on a new Smash game because he's working on his baby, Kirby. So I'm really happy about that. Yeah, because I don't plan to see Smash anytime soon. But, and then lastly, we got to Donkey Kong Bonanza, which was awesome. I watched all these trailers. I actually watched the direct so many times. It's almost embarrassing because I like watching people's reactions. So I went back and watched so many people watch the direct to the point to where after a while I had to start skipping through points of the direct. Because I'm like, I don't want to watch this direct 8 times in a row, because that's like 8 hours of my life that I'm spending watching the exact same thing. But yeah, it's just so good. Cannot wait to get my hands on that game. Again, that is also a game where when I saw it in the Nintendo Direct, I'm like, oh wow, it looks good, but I couldn't really tell how good it looked until the Nintendo Treehouse today, where they played it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, visually this game looks amazing. Like, you can tell the resolution is just so good, and the frame rate is really up there. It's really awesome. It's just insane for me to see all this Nintendo at 60 FPS. Like, everything is running so smooth, and that is just making me so happy. So we got that, and that was the last thing that they showed. And then later on, we got news that the console price is $450 with no game. You can get a Mario Kart World Bundle for $500, and the Nintendo Switch 2 releases on June 5th. Some other things are the Pro Controller is $80, the Joy-Cons are $90. If you want to get the Joy-Con charging grip, that's $35. The camera is $50, and the dock is $110. Which is all fine and dandy, but as I was watching the Treehouse today, I noticed that the comment section, the chat, was nothing but people saying drop the price, and by that they're referring to Mario Kart World being $80, which is crazy. I mean, I'm a huge Nintendo fan. I go to work to buy the things that I like, so if I really wanted it, I would get it. I'm gonna get the package deal anyway, so I'm only gonna get it for like $50. But regardless, if I really wanted something, I would get it, because that's what I slave at my job for. But I do completely understand the outrage. As a kid, I remember I had to fight just to get my dad to buy me a $40 Game Boy Advance game, or fight to have him buy me a $50 GameCube game. I cannot imagine being a child now and having to go to my parent and say, hey, I want a new video game. And they're like, oh, what's the price? And I have to tell them $80 in this economy. That's a hard pill to swallow. So I don't know. I just got done watching the Kit and Krista channel. The two former Nintendo employees kind of talk about what Nintendo might be thinking about all this right now. And they're thinking that they probably won't take the price down pre-launch. So we'll see. But I was also talking to a friend of mine earlier, and I do feel like Nintendo, they had to have known this was going to happen, because during the Direct, they purposefully left out the price of everything. They didn't tell you the release date of the console. Well, no, I think they did say the release date of the console, but they did not give you the price of anything. They didn't tell you how much it costs to get these upgrades for the Nintendo Switch 2 editions. I still don't know. And maybe there's some information that I missed. Maybe there's something on the website, but I still don't know because there's so much misinformation going around right now because everybody's so frustrated. I can't really tell. So now I'm like, okay, I would love to play the Metroid Nintendo Switch 2 edition, but how is that going to work? Do I just buy it? Because I assume on Switch it's just going to be $60. So do I just buy that? And do I pay like $10 to upgrade it to the Nintendo Switch 2 edition? Is that going to be $10 for every single game, or are some games going to be, free? Because I swore I saw something earlier, or yesterday at least, where some Nintendo Switch editions are free. So I'm like, well, you still have to buy the game, but you know what I mean, like free to upgrade to that if you choose to. But I don't know, man. It's just so much misinformation going on right now. People are saying that the Mario Kart game is going to be $90 physical, and from everywhere I'm seeing that is not true. As far as like, if you go to a store, you will not see it as $89.99. I think what people are referring to is once the tax hits, it'll essentially be close to $90. But then I guess you could use the same argument if it was $70, because then you could say, oh, well, now I'm paying $80 for a game, because $70 with tax is going to take the price up as well. But yeah, man, I don't know. It's just such a tricky situation, and I hate all this so much right now because I'm a huge Nintendo fanboy, and the one thing that I hate is having to defend certain things when I know that they don't make sense and I know that it's not right. And I'm not going to sit here and defend an $80 Mario Kart game. I'm just not going to do it. Like I said, it's something that I would buy if I really want to, but it just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why they make that decision, and I just feel like no game should be more than $70. Which is interesting because I know people have been saying rumblings of maybe the new GTA 6 will be $100. So, but people are saying that they're going to buy that regardless. So, who knows? So, I don't know. I'm still very excited for the console. Like every time I imagine it being in my hands and playing the games, I get super excited. So. There's nothing wrong there. People aren't really complaining about the price of the console. The price of the console is fine by me. It's just nobody wants to spend $450 on a console and then later on have to pay, up to $80 per game. And we all know Nintendo does not really like price drops. Nintendo, when they drop a game on their eShop or physically in a store, it will be that price basically for life. It's never gonna drop. The only time that they give you any type of deal is like during Black Friday or like during Mario Day. They'll give a little discount on the Mario games, or if it's like a Zelda situation, you can get the discounts on Zelda games. But it's not gonna be like if you go on Nintendo Switch Online, you can buy like a Dragon Ball Z game one day for $2 or something like that, or I don't know, certain other games on there, one day it's $40, then on a random Thursday it's $15, that whole type of thing. Nintendo is just they're not like that. So yeah, I understand. I get it, guys. I definitely understand the frustration. So I don't know, we'll see if Nintendo takes that into consideration, if they do have any price drop, because if you guys remember, during the 3DS era, this is what happened. They released the 3DS. I think it was like $250 at first. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then they dropped it down to like $179. And then there was an ambassadors program where if you did buy it originally, you got like these free games that you couldn't get anywhere else. It was only available to those people. So yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know, because like I said, people aren't really complaining about the price of the console, so that's not really ambassadors program worthy if you spend $80 on a Mario game. I doubt they're going to give you any money back or anything, but yeah, it's a new Nintendo that we're dealing with. So, but yeah, I don't know, guys. I don't know, but I still want to leave on an exciting and uplifting note that the console is still awesome. The games are still great, and we're all gonna have a great time playing these games, regardless. You know, when the new Smash game comes out, I doubt people are gonna complain about that. Or when the new Zelda game drops, people are gonna buy that like they always do. And the new 3D Mario and Animal Crossings and all those things. But yeah, hopefully Nintendo won't just charge too much with things going forward. But with that being said, thank you guys for listening and have a great day. Don't let it bring you down too much.